So we're around the fire still, we're in Highfield Park. You have been looking for all that evidence of life and death in autumn because some things are dying down and some things like seeds are being planted so that they're going to grow again when the springtime comes. So I'm going to tell you a story about death and life and life and death. If I say life, can you say death? Life.
Death.
Life.
Death.
If I say death, can you say life?
Yes.
Death.
Life.
Death.
Life.
Death.
Life.
Once upon a time in these very woods, but a long time ago, maybe 1,000 years ago, there was a hunter and he was as tall as a spear, as strong as a bow and his eyes as sharp as arrows. Can you say that with me? He was as tall as a spear, as strong as a bow and his eyes as sharp as arrows. He lived in a mud hut in this forest and he had a family, he had a wife and he had 1, 2, 3, 4 children. But this is a bit of a horror story because all the children were boys. 4 boys!
Yes!
Well, but the thing is, the wife, she was pregnant and she's expecting a 5th child and we don't know yet whether it's going to be a boy or a girl, but we'll find out before the end of the story. And it came to the autumn. And the leaves were turning from green to gold to brown to down on the ground, and the seeds were falling and the wind was getting stronger, and there was a full moon that came out in October, and the October full moon is called Hunter's Moon. What is it called?
Hunter's Moon.
And the hunter said, it's time for me to go into the forest and bring back fresh meat. We'll roast it on the fire and we'll be able to eat meat along with the vegetables and the mushrooms and the roots and the shoots that my wife can gather from the forest. And so the hunter, he kissed his wife, he said goodbye to the kids, and he went off on that path down there, deeper and darker, darker and deeper. Try it out with me. Deeper and
Darker.
darker and
Deeper.
off the path and into the darkness of the forest. And by that night, he should have been back, but he wasn't. By the morning, he really should have been back. And the kids were going, where's Dad? And the mother said, I don't know. And by the end of the second day, he still wasn't back. And the kids are worried. And the wife is thinking, what am I going to do? I need to look after my children. So she went to get some roots and shoots and fruits. And she brought them back and they ate them by the fire. And they were worried about that he was going to be dead. And some of the children, they had tiny little bows and arrow, Patrick. And they could shoot squirrels like this. And they had squirrel pie for tea that night. Ooh. But they were looking after each other so well that they started to forget about their father. That's really bad, yeah? Would you forget about your father after a month?
No.
Well, after 2 months, they'd nearly completely forgotten about the father. And after 3 months, the wife, who I did tell you was pregnant, she gave birth. Wasn't as easy as that, but I don't want to go into details, maybe later. But the wife, she gave birth, and what do you think? Was it a baby boy or was it a baby girl? Who thinks a baby boy? Who thinks a baby girl? Who is a boy? Who is a girl? That's almost exactly the same as your answers. It was a little baby girl.
Oh.
And as soon as that little baby girl growing up with her 4 brothers, as soon as she was 1 year old, she could walk. As soon as she was 2 years old, she could talk. What do you think the first word that the little girl said?
Daddy.
Daddy. Daddy. Daddy. Daddy. Daddy. Was it your first word as well? Brilliant. As soon as the little daughter said daddy, the boys, they heard the word and their minds remembered all about their father that was missing in the forest, maybe dead, they didn't even know. And they said, Mum, we need to go into the forest and bring back our father, even if it's just his bones. And so the mother said, go carefully and come back again. So off they went, the 4 boys together, into the forest, deeper and
Deeper.
darker and
Deeper.
into the forest until they came to a very strange looking tree.
It looked like the dad.
That's like tree fresh. It looked a bit like a dad, but on the branch of the tree there was a golden apple. That's another sign of autumn. And so the eldest boy, he climbed the tree, he picked the apple, and he had a penknife, because it's the old days and everybody had penknives. And they cut that apple into 4 equal parts so that all 4 boys had a quarter of the apple. And the first boy ate his quarter, and the second boy ate his, and the third and the fourth. And then the first one said, that must have been a magic apple, because I've got some magic in my fingers. Can you do some clicking with me like that? If you can't click, you can use 2 fingers on your hand, it's the same sound. And the first one said, listen to my magic spell. It goes like this. Bones click, bones stick, bones knit together. Say it. Bones click, bones stick, bones knit together. And they looked on the floor, and there was white bones shuffling through the forest floor, all amongst the leaves, and the bones started to click and stick together, and the foot bone connected to the leg bone, and the leg bone connected to the knee bone, and the knee bone connected to the bum bone, and oh, praise the name of the Lord. There was a skeleton of their father, but who wants a skeleton for a father?
No.
Nobody.
Their wife.
Good answer. Nobody. And there he was, but the second one said, I've got some magic in my fingers. Can we do the clicking again? And he said, listen to this spell, see if you can join in. He said, flesh fill, flesh full, flesh pull together. Try that. Flesh fill, flesh full, flesh pull together. And the flesh and the muscles and the blood vessels, they grew back onto the bones, and there was their father, but he had no skin. Oh, it was all icky and sticky. So the third one said, come on, bro, I'll give you some skin. And he said his magic spell like this. Are you ready? He said, skin grow, skin whole, skin all together. Try that. Skin grow, skin whole, skin all together. And the skin grew back, and the eyelashes and the hair and a pair of pants, woo! And there was their father, all back together, all remembered, and his body was together and everything, but there was no breath of life. And so the fourth one said, I've got a magic spell. I'm going to put the breath in his body. Listen to this. Breath in, breath out, breath of life. Breath
in, breath out, breath of life.
And the father started to breathe. I am your father. And there was a father with the breath in him, his body all back together, and he hugged his four brothers and he said, take me home on the country roads to the place where I belong. And he took him back along those country roads until they came back, and there was his wife, and he gave his wife a long lingering kiss. And he picked up his little girl, and he never even met his own daughter, and he picked her up and he, oh, lovely goo gaga. Ooh, Frederick, could you just change the nappy for me? And then he went back into the forest, and you know when you chop down a tree, maybe you've done it in forest school, and you get a whole circle of a tree trunk. Have you seen that before? Like a thin version of these logs. And he put it on his knee. He got his best carving knife, and he made a picture. He carved a picture out of that circle of wood. He carved a picture of the cabin, he carved a picture of his wife, he carved a picture of his daughter, of his four boys, and maybe even a picture of the hunter's moon rising above the trees. And it was such a beautiful picture. He turned around and he said, this carving is a gift for the one who truly saved my life. So the end of the story is the start of a riddle. Who do you think he gave it to? Was it the mother? Was it the first brother? Was it the second or the third or the fourth? Or was it the little girl? Or did he keep it for himself? Megan May.
He gave it to all the boys because they all helped each other.
He thought about the boys. They thought, you all helped, so maybe I could chop it into four. You could have a quarter each, but they didn't want a quarter each. No. So what do you think, Patrick?
Maybe the little girl, because she was the one who made them remember.
That's a good idea. What do you think?
I think the first.
The first son because he got the apple. You think the little girl because?
Because she was the one that reminded the boys of him.
That is absolutely right. What did she say?
She said, Dada.
And when she said Dada, all the boys remembered about the father, so he gave it to the little girl. And he said this, see if you can remember it with me. As long as you remember somebody, then they're never really dead. Try it. As long as you remember somebody, then they're never really dead. So that's why at this time of year in the autumn, at Samhain and at Halloween, at the Day of the Dead, people remember all their ancestors that have gone before and died and moved on. But as long as they tell the stories, then they're keeping the people alive. And that is the end of that. Try this one. Pull my beard, the stories disappear.
Oh.
Try that one. Pull my beard, the stories disappear.